Hi everyone, I'm going to show you how I assign the work for the following week. Basically, I sign into Think Central, I click Browse, which you will see right here. I will choose the grade. I will show you with grade 2. I then go to Program Structure and the unit that I am currently on. So it's Unit 2, Chapter 5. And this is also what I do in the classroom when I want to have all the resources available that I may possibly use during that lesson. I like to use the browse button, but of course, there are many ways to access the interactive student edition, the textbook. There's many ways, but this is the way I like using it. So let's say on Monday, the students will be on Chapter 5, Lesson 1. So let me explain the 3 tabs. The first one here that you click will always have the teacher edition. I rarely have to use that in the classroom with the students on the interactive board, but it's there if you need it for that particular day's lesson. Then the second one is sort of hidden. Here it is, it's core instruction, and this is where you will find the student edition book in case you want to project that onto your interactive board to show the students the pages. And on here, you will also find the personal math trainer homework assignment in case you do want to assign it online. Some teachers like to give the students the choice of doing the paper version, the ones that they tear out of their book, but you can also assign this. Keep that in mind. So I will just show you quickly if you do want to assign it. All right, so I will add it. Let's say you want to add it for Monday. Just type homework 5.1, for example. You select your class. In this case, it would be Math Grade 2. Now, I will not choose Math Grade 2 right now because I do not want for the students' names to appear, their first and last names. So I'm not going to choose a grade to show you because I don't want this to be online with the student's name. But once I select the class, all the students will appear here, and then I will add them all, add all to this side. I choose the date, so let's say it's for Monday, the 11th, and maybe you want it available just the 11th, or you want it to go up to the 12th. You can, if you want, you can also do the time. You could put like 2:45 p.m. and the next day maybe up to 8:30 a.m. in case a child needs to finish something or has extra time in the morning. And usually if I do assign the homework, I check off, all right, so, oh, right here. Follow an adaptive workflow. I choose yes. That you do have 2 options. I usually use the personal study plan and I save it. Obviously, it will not allow me to save because I did not choose my class and I stated I just don't want the names to appear here. But let's go back to showing you how I assign the 3 typical assignments. So let me go back here. All right, so the last tab is lesson level resources again, and this has many of the resources I will check to assign work. Let's say Friday during my prep, I will assign the interactive student edition. I usually type number 1, classwork, oops, sorry, slash homework, interactive student edition, ISE 5.1. You can type whatever it is you want. I usually like to number it in order so the students know what to do. So I select the class, I add all the students to this side. That is the lesson I will be on Monday, the 11th. So I'm going to choose that date. And I only want it to appear on that day. But it's up to you. You may want it to show up on the to-do list for a couple of days. And then I click save. And then I go back and check what else is available. Now, as you can see, there is no animated math model video to assign on that day, and there aren't any, do not see any Mega Math games to assign. So for now, I have only one activity. You can always go back and add activities maybe from chapter 4 that you think were important for the students. I usually like to assign more than one activity, but there is nothing else to assign. So let's say I go to lesson 2, which is Tuesday. So I usually go straight to the last one. I assign this. I type number 1, as I have shown you before, number 1, classwork homework. I select the class, but this will be for the 12th, which is a Tuesday. So I only want it to appear on that day, the 12th, and I save it. All right, so let's say I save that one, then I go down and I look. Again, on this one, for some reason, doesn't have any animated math models. I always check animated math models and any Mega Math, nothing. So I have one. I can assign the interactive student edition from the day before if I want to as a review. So then I go on to lesson 3, which will be Wednesday's lesson. And I check, I assign the interactive student edition as you have seen me with the previous 2 days. But now, as you can see here, I have a second and a third activity to assign. So I have an animated math model. So I would normally type number 2. You can call it whatever you want. I mean, I'll usually type classwork / homework. Animated math model. It's for 5.3. I select the class, I choose subject math, I add all the students. I want this to be on Wednesday the 13th. That is the second activity they can do on that day after the interactive student edition, and I save it. All right, so then I go back, it's saved, and then I see that there's a Mega Math game that can help the students with that lesson, 5.3. So I sign that as well. On here I put number 3, so the students have an order. I put classwork / homework, so they can do it in school, in stations, if that's what you have students do as one of the stations. And always an option to do additional work at home, or parents who want to help their children with that day's lesson. So I choose the class, the subject math, I add the students. Now, this is still for Wednesday the 13th. So I'm preparing the work again for the following week, and I click save. So I covered Wednesday. So I assigned everything that is available that students can do online. Now I'm up to Thursday, the 14th. So I go to lesson 4. As you can see, there's a pattern here. I always check interactive student edition. I assign it. This is just what I do. You don't have to do it this way. You don't have to assign it in the order I assign it. So I do number 1, assignment number 1. I go down. As you can see, there's an animated math model. So that's assignment number 2 for that day. And then I do assignment number 3, which is this Mega Math game. And like I said, I assign it. If a child is absent, the child can catch up with the rest of the class. They will not fall behind. They know that this is assigned. They can check their to-do list, and this will be there. And again, this is for any child who wants additional work at home as well. So there is no excuse for a child who doesn't understand the lesson, or a parent who does not know how to help his or her child. There are activities that can be done at home. And so this day I can assign 3 activities. So now I am up to Friday, chapter 5, lesson 5. As you can see, this is done rather quickly. I know I always go to this tab. I assign the interactive student edition. I check down here. Now look at this one. This one's different. I like to assign it all. So this will be activity number 2. Then I have activity number 3, number 4, number 5. On that day, there are 3 math games that can help children with that day's lesson. So I still assign it. I assign this one the way I have taught you. Then I assign, and like if just, you can call it whatever you want. I usually call it practice game number 1. You know, I could, like, if this is the 3rd activity. Oh, I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong thing here. You have to click assign, of course. This is activity number 3. I usually type classwork / homework. Game number 1. If you don't want game to appear because students would want to do that first, you could put practice 1, whatever you want, practice. And then select the class, the subject, the way I taught you, pick the day, choose the day, which will be, if I remember correctly, this is lesson 5, so that's for 12:15. So that's how I do the prep work, maybe on a Friday for the following week. And as you know, in our school, most of the teachers teach 2 different grades. So after I finish grade 2, I'll do the same for grade 3, which I will not, but then, you know, the same process. Figure out what unit you're on, the chapter. You know, if 5.1 is Monday's lesson, I go here. As you can see, this last one, I have an interactive student edition. I have an animated math model. I have a mega math game. Lesson 2 for chapter 5. Click here. Interactive student edition. It's always there. Then I have an animated math model, a mega math game. Wednesday's lesson. Right here. There's always an interactive student edition. And on this date, that's all there is. We do not have an animated math model. We do not have a mega math game. So now I am up to lesson 4. I click that. So you can see, you know where to go after practicing a few times. I assign this. I go down here. There isn't anything. There is an animated math model. We do not have a mega math game. But again, if the previous lesson was very difficult for the students, you can go back and on Thursday have the students, after they watch lesson 4, they can watch the interactive student edition video again for lesson 3. So you can assign more than one thing. There's nothing wrong with an activity appearing more than once or a game appearing most of the week. So now I'm up to Friday, lesson 5. I click here. I assign the interactive student edition. I then assign the animated math model, which is multiplying by tens, which will help with this lesson for this particular day. And then this mega math game, I assign it. So there's 3 activities on that day. I like to have at least 2 or 3 activities daily. So like I said, if there is a game on a particular day and you need more resources for the child, like this one that appears on Monday, you can assign this one most of the week. You can assign it to appear every single day, to show up on the 11th, and then again on the 12th. It's up to you. So hopefully you can see one way of assigning activities online. So let me see if there's anything else that I may want to show you that can be quite helpful. All right, so this is Monday's lesson for 3rd grade. One thing that I found that is quite helpful when you're doing your whole class lesson, let's see if I can find it. All right, it's right. Sorry, this happens sometimes to me. It's on the last one. There's like 3 tabs to click. It is right here. So this one is quite helpful if you can fit it in during your 20, 30-minute whole class lesson. You may want to, towards the end, have this up on the screen. These are the 2 quick check problems, but shown online. So this will be quite helpful when preparing students for the test. Instead of just reviewing all these type of questions, 20 questions.